Should we be looking for signs of the top and how much longer they can continue to run? Plus, I've got some stocks and sectors that the bulls are eyeing, including uh, a potential bounce on gold, and then we will get into Bitcoin and crypto. So, if that sounds good to you guys, you know what to do. Be sure to hit the like button, and if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. All right, guys, let's get started. Um, Happy Tuesday to you all out there. So, how much higher can these markets go? Well, first off, I wanted to start off with this. The average bull market length is 51 months, and we are about 20 months into this bull run. Um, so, how much higher can these markets go? Well, the answer is simply they could continue for quite a while. I do believe that we will probably see these markets continue to go higher later this year and into 2025. Of course, a lot of people believe that too. So that might also be a time to be a bit skeptical. I would say we need to be cautious here where we are at and keep an eye on the price action to see which way uh, things may go. We also have the Fed policy makers looking at doing just one rate cut this year and possibly four in 2025. Of course, once they start cutting rates, that's generally when something may be broken, but that's also a time where you see um, some risk assets really start to outperform. So we will get into some of that with crypto as well as some of these other stocks that and sectors that I'm looking at. And the first one is TLT, the Treasury 20-year bond, um, setting at $94. This is looking pretty bullish here, and we know that these should do well during rate cuts. I've been talking about this here for a couple of months now, since we were putting in this pennant formation here. And as I mentioned, if we could break above that, well, that is a bullish sign. We are starting to put in a series of higher lows and higher highs for TLT. So that is looking bullish. And of course, this uh, these bonds have really been beaten down over the past couple of years, so there could be a lot more room to the upside. Another sector I'm keeping an eye on is XLE, the energy market. Um, we have our upsloping trend line here. We are at the bottom on the RSIs on the daily. And if we zoom out here a little bit on the weekly, you can also see we are right at the bottom. So we could see a bounce here for XLE. Um, if we do lose this upwards sloping trend line, well, then uh, this could go lower. But right now, we know that um, they a lot of people are trying to figure out the energy play because we know that with all these chips and AI and data storage, that the demands for energy are going to be increasing over the long term. And so there's several different sectors to that, obviously, but one of those that I'm keeping an eye on is natural gas because we are at lows that we haven't seen in several years and prices that we haven't seen really. We've seen them a few times, but in general, back to what they were in the 90s. So I think that's bullish for nat gas. We have this ETF here, NGL, setting at 536 this morning. I mentioned this one here a couple days ago, and since we had this little pullback, um, we're able to get a good entry in here for about a 14% gain in just a couple of days. The RSI is coming up on the daily as well as on the weekly. We just got another little golden cross here, so we could see a bounce uh, for this um, natural gas ETF. We have this long area of accumulation and this upwards sloping trend line, putting in a series of higher lows and higher highs. This looks similar to a lot of the uh, uh, crypto assets and risk on assets, and the fact that we have this basing formation, higher lows, higher highs with an upward sloping trend line. Um, so you could see something like this really outperform here over the next several months. And another stock I'm keeping an eye on is Tesla. Tesla setting at 183. This is the monthly chart for Tesla. And the RSI is down here at the bottom. We're just leveling off on the 14. And so this stock has really been beaten down this year and has underperformed a lot of these mega cap stocks with the semiconductors. So I do think you could see Tesla start to outperform here some of the markets, at least in the midterm. Longer term, well, let's just be clear. They are one of the best EV manufacturers out there. Although there is a lot of things going on with EVs right now, and people are beginning to realize that the infrastructure is just not quite there. There was a lot of problems over the winter, but nevertheless, long term, policymakers are trying to drive more towards clean energy. And so I do believe over the long term, you're still going to see more EVs coming out and more incentives to push those narratives. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you believe there, I do think that you will still see things like this do better. Plus, Tesla has been talking about the robots they're building for repetitive motions, which um, do cause does cause injuries to workers that work on assembly lines. Um, so that's one positive for Tesla. Would I buy here? I'd really wait to kind of see what the price action does. If we go to the daily chart, well, we had this pennant. We lost the downside, but then we broke the upside and we were in this downwards sloping trend. Um, so it looks like we've probably put in some sort of base here for Tesla at these levels, and we have this downward sloping parallel channel. So if we can get above that and hold above that, I think that would be bullish, and you could see Tesla go somewhere up to around 200 or possibly 210, get this gap fill here in the midterm. So that's one stock to be keeping an eye on. And another uh, asset class I've really been eyeing and actually starting to purchase again a little more is gold. Gold sitting at 23.24. Um, it is moving upwards here. We could continue moving higher here, I do believe, in the short term. Um, In the medium term, we may continue to range, or if we did see a pullback to that 2150 to 2200, well, I think that would be a great buy entry for a long-term spot position, or investor. Even at these levels, I would still be looking at purchasing gold because I do think gold will go much higher over the next 12 to 18 months or a couple of years possibly. So yeah, that is one thing I'm looking at, as well as on gold. This is over on Prime XBT. They have the MACD here just getting ready to flip bullish. It looks like people are going to start purchasing gold again. We also have a wick bullish hammer put in here on this trend chart. So if you are interested in buying commodities, forex uh, swaps, and also crypto, you can do so over on Prime XBT. Right now, they are offering up to $7,000 sign up bonus or 25% off your trading commissions. If you're interested, there is a link down below. I like Prime XBT because they allow you to buy crypto and use some leverage. Of course, you want to be very careful about using leverage. You need to know what you are doing if you are going to try to use leverage. But if you are just kind of trying to start building an account and you really keep an eye on the markets, it is a good way to build up a starter portfolio. But again, you need to be very careful with it. I don't recommend it just for anyone. All right, guys, let's get into Bitcoin and crypto. What is going on here? These markets, the last few days, seem very bearish. And we have people on Twitter saying, is this the end? Is Bitcoin going down? We are in a major crash. Well, obviously, those guys have not been in markets very long because right now we are down 10%. And of course, crypto is a very volatile asset, and we know we can see much bigger swings than this. But here on the Bitcoin price chart, we have this uh, bullish pennant. And so if you aren't familiar what that is, well, this is a bull pennant pattern. So we have the flagpole, the rise up, and then the consolidation, and then possibly breaking out. And we could see Bitcoin possibly break out of this pattern soon. I think the chances of this is actually becoming much slimmer now here in the short term. But, however, I do suspect we will see a bounce here soon because we have the full moon coming up on the 21st. So at the end of this week, and generally speaking, when we get these full moon prints, well, this is bullish for Bitcoin and crypto, as well as a lot of other asset classes. But that's one thing I'll be keeping an eye on. Plus, we have this trend line here acting as support. Another reason to be bullish on Bitcoin is MicroStrategy just raised another $700 million to buy more Bitcoin. And so that is big. Michael Saylor says that he's going to continue to buy Bitcoin uh, as high as it goes. He has some pretty bullish levels for Bitcoin. But This is also bullish for his stock. MicroStrategy MSTR setting at 1488, just below the center line here on this sideways accumulation. Could this come down a little more? Yes, I would like to see this gap fill here be bought up, but really it'll depend on the Bitcoin price. If Bitcoin does move up, well, I do think you will see MicroStrategy do the same, and it's a good way to um, gain more beta towards Bitcoin because this fund here has been outperforming Bitcoin from anywhere around 20% on the longer term to close to 100% more performance over the past several months. MicroStrategy is one of those funds that look really strong uh, in comparison, or when Bitcoin is doing good, I should say, when the crypto markets are doing good. So that's one fund you can keep an eye on. And another reason Scott Milker put this out on X, the Wolf of Wall Street's uh, Bitcoin bounce coming soon. There's a lot of bullish divergence. So what that is basically, if you're not familiar with trading, um, that is when the RSIs are coming up, but the price action is coming down. So that's another bullish sign. I know a lot of the crypto guys are looking for any reason to be bullish, and over the long term, I am definitely still bullish on crypto over the next 12 to 18 months. I think this fall you are going to see much higher prices. Of course, we will have to watch the price action and watch the stock market to see what happens. Um, but that's just another reason to be a bull. Um, we also have this fund here, which is the Ethereum Futures ETF EETH, sitting at 71.56. Ethereum is starting to look kind of bullish. Things are shaping up. We know that we have the spot ETFs now potentially approved to start trading on July 2nd. So we could see a lot of flow like we saw with the Bitcoin spot ETFs coming into these markets and driving the price of Ethereum higher. We have the RSI just starting to put in a little golden cross here. Of course, momentum is kind of to the downside at the moment. Um, and really, it's going to depend on Bitcoin as well. I think, if Bitcoin starts to do well, I think you are going to see Ethereum really start to take off. It's been it's lagged behind for a long time throughout this crypto cycle, and it's really just starting to turn more bullish here for ETH in the past month or so. So that is a one bullish sign for Ethereum. Another fund that I like for if you want to gain more exposure to crypto, but you have a normal brokerage account, don't want to have to fool with setting up wallets and exchanges, is BKCH, sitting at $54. I've mentioned this here several times on this channel in the past when we've seen these spikes up. Um, and right now, it's looking pretty bullish for uh, this fund. If the Bitcoin price goes up, well, you'll see this goes up, and this acts similar to some of the altcoins, the bigger layer ones, such as we've seen with like names like Solana or Chainlink, um, where we see these gains here, if you just take a look at these are really big gains in a rather short period of time. An 80% gain in just about a month's time. Of course, this stuff is higher risk, uh, so that's something you will want to consider depending on your risk tolerance. But as traders, these swings here can be quite fun and allow you to really make a large percentage return on your investment in a short time period. As long as these markets continue to go up, well, I expect funds like this to do much better performance over the markets. And some of these you could see, uh, 2, 3, potentially a 5x on, just depending on um, which direction these markets go. I am still a bit skeptical about whether we see a run here like we saw back in 2021, just because the amount of money that was printed back in. But we do know that when the Fed starts cutting rates, that is bullish for some of these risk assets and smaller cap stocks and companies, because then lending becomes cheaper and they can continue to borrow as we go into the next business cycle. So you could see something like this do, uh, like I said, possibly a 2 or 3x or more. Um, but that's just something we'll have to keep an eye on. So if you are interested in buying stocks, ETFs, gold, or crypto, you can do so over on Robinhood. Right now, Robinhood is offering a 1% boost whenever you transfer your brokerage fund, plus 5% APY and 8 times the national savings rate. They also allow you to begin building your portfolio with just as little as $1 and trade commission free. If you're interested, there is a link down below. Plus, they allow you to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, Sheeb, and many more. All right, guys, be sure to go follow me over on X or Twitter if you want the latest at Mind of Financier. I am Mind of the Financier on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, so you can follow me there as well. Um, but here over on X is where I post anything that I see that has to do with stock markets, commodities, and crypto. So you can follow me over there. And until next time, guys, I hope you all have a great day and a great rest of your week. It's summer, it's getting hot out there. Things are heating up, temperature wise, anyway. And the stock markets are looking pretty bullish, very bullish at the moment. Crypto, mm, some signs of bearishness. Nevertheless, over the long term, I think you will still see much, much higher prices. All right, guys, until next time, take care, be legendary,